we're going to kick off the 14th In2In conference. And some of the kickoff involves acknowledging our partners, Pratt & Whitney Rocketite and Woodbury University. We're partnering with Woodbury. This is the first time we've been here. Looks like the partnership is going to develop and grow even further. Thank you for having us. I want to remind you that we had a beginning last night, but also before that there was a pre-conference workshop. So many of you were here for the pre-conference workshop. Some of you weren't. And we will be reminding you that every year there's a pre-conference and a formal conference, and you're welcome to participate in any part or all of that. One of the first things that I'd like to do is figure out if you have been to all, this is now the 14 forums, please stand up. How about 13? 13, there's the 13. Hey, all right. How about 8 or more? That's great. 8 or more. Hey, all right, guys. How about this is your second one? Now, here's an interesting one. Who's here for the first time? Please stand up. And we don't have time to hear a first-timer's perspective on things, but luckily enough, I have a first-timer here, so she's going to tell us what it might be like from a first-timer's perspective.
Thank you. I was told to present something about my first-time experience here, so I wrote this quickly last night, and I want to share it with you. I'm a doctoral candidate at Cal State Northridge for leadership, educational leadership and policy, and I met Bill at a pre-Deming conference, and I was very intrigued by his passion for Dr. Deming. And when he accepted to be one of my dissertation committee members, I was thrilled. He then introduced me to In2In thinking. And you see, for the longest time, I've been looking for an organization, a professional organization, that people were real. I was looking for real people, and this is what the reality is. This is real. This is as real as it gets. We talk about science. They talk about learning. They look for credible evidence. For decision making. There's no hypocrisy, no backbiting, there's no competition, no hang-ups. And so I finally found what I was looking for a long time. And the values and the purposes and the intents of this organization is very much in sync with what I had in mind. And I believe people reach a level of attainment, like Bill, like everybody else here, which at that point radiates that attainment to others for the benefit of others. And I feel that I belong here. So I'm really happy to be here.
I want to take a look at the geography lesson here. There are at least a couple of people who don't reside here, so came quite a ways to get to the conference. Plane flight was probably more than 12 hours. Maybe one was only 8. So if you're from somewhere other than here and had to be on a plane more than 6 hours, please stand up. Come on, I saw the map out there. I know. I came with you. Well, anyway, I know we have some folks from the UK, and I think we have somebody from Thailand, as I recall. I can't remember where she's from. Anyway, we have people from all over. Those of you who are more local, how many of you didn't have to get on a plane to end up at the conference? Please stand up. So I've got maybe 2/3 of you are relatively local, and the rest of you had to pack yourselves up and come in from Michigan or elsewhere. One of the things that's been a tradition is acknowledging the first registrant. Who registered first? And we have been working with Jack Killerick and the Louisville Slugger folks, and Jack has been involved with Dr. Deming and Dr. Deming's ideas for a long time. So what he has done for us is he's made a bat, a small bat, not a big one. And the bat, the significance of the bat is Felix Delgado, who was trying to do stuff, and Bill talked to Felix, who was at Rocketdyne, trying to implement some of these ideas, and Bill was talking to him, and Felix was saying, well, you know, it's hard because everybody's sort of attacking you because you're coming from a different perspective, and I feel like I need a bat to keep them away from me, and so it became a tradition that we're going to give you a bat so that you can help keep the bears at bay. And this year, see if I can see the bat award winner. He's not here, he's hiding, he's not doing work. Anyway, this year's bat that Roxy is about to award goes to Perry Woodford. Where's Perry? Perry, get Perry in here. And I like that, that's good. I love it. Chuck.
You need a fan too, so that you can keep away the flies. The big threats are the bears.
The bears and the flies, yes. So we do a two-tier approach. I don't know if when Perry gets in here, we'll acknowledge him again. I want to introduce you folks. If you turn around the back, you'll see Doug Whittaker. Greg. Doug's here. Greg Whittaker in the back, who you could see when you walked into the forum. You saw the big poster, and you may have seen some smaller posters. He's here to capture the feeling of what goes on graphically. And so you'll see from the presentation last night, he captured graphically what went on. So give him a hand, he'll be around. And here is Perry Woodford, who is the first registrant. And now, Brian is going back.
Keep the bears away.
Get on the plane first.
It's
only good for the inside. We're always dangerous.
I'll call your attention to another artist besides Greg. The artist this year for the brochure, so we've got this going on, is also a Woodford. It's Clark Woodford, and you'll get to meet Clark later. He's not here at the moment, but we want to thank him. Other thanks goes to, you see the setups here with some youngsters keeping track of the video and making sure things are going well. We've been working with Paul Cass and Kid Flicks for a lot of years now, probably 13. And they do, Paul with these junior high school kids come down and put together everything.
I've seen the kids doing all the work.
Yes, the kids do all the work. I'm checking my notes to make sure I'm not leaving anything out. And sometimes checking my notes helps, and sometimes I leave things out anyways. Yeah. I want to introduce somebody who's agreed not only to be a keynote speaker, but to offer a few words and this connection with Dr. Deming is a little closer than most of us. I could introduce him as Judy Cahill's husband, but as Dr. Deming's grandson, but Kevin Cahill is in charge of, if somebody is in charge of the Deming Institute. He's president of the Deming Institute, and since he is retired from his company, has been spending all his time and energy helping spread his grandfather's ideas. And I'd ask Kevin to say a couple of words to help us remind ourselves of how we're connected to Dr. Deming and want to continue that connection. Kevin.
So breaking the mold, inspire, aspire, and achieve. When I think about my grandfather, That's what he was all about, breaking the mold. A few of you, Phil, I think you've heard that before? You've experienced it maybe? So that's what we're about as the Deming Institute also. And I think that's one of the things why I enjoy doing what I'm doing so much, is watching what type of things that are being done at this conference, this event, and other events are doing. And I think that's what my grandfather would really have appreciated. The fact that you folks believe there is a need to break that mold. There is a need to inspire, aspire, and achieve. And how do we go about doing that? And it's going to be really fascinating to hear some of the talks today, how people are doing that, what their perspective is on that. Because, you know, I look at it from my grandfather's perspective, and it's one of the things that I'll mention in my talk, is I hear all the time that Deming was about quality. I'll talk to people all over the country, all over the world. Sat next to somebody on a plane the other day, and they said, Deming, oh I know, he was the quality guy. But he wasn't necessarily the quality guy. At that time, as I was talking to Dick Steele last night, he was about quality. But he was more about breaking that mold, okay? He was more about breaking that mold, and it was about leadership and transformation of the individual so that you could build quality into your organization. You could do different things. And Kevin, love that name, Kevin last night was talking about authority, right? Knowledge, power of persuasion and tact. But he kept coming back to knowledge was the most important part of that. And that is the most important part, because authority of the office as a leader isn't what's really going to make the difference. Okay? Being able to persuade somebody about a bad idea isn't really going to be able to make the difference. It's that knowledge, and that profound knowledge, and the ability to understand it that really breaks the mold, and that will inspire people to aspire and to achieve. So I must commend Bill and the conference committee on coming up with a terrific theme, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend on behalf of the Institute. Thank you very much. We're thrilled to be here and look forward to meeting a lot of you folks. Thank you.
And speaking of meeting a bunch of folks, what we have traditionally done and will continue is during lunch, all of the presenters, keynote speakers, and parallel session presenters will have names on the tables, and if you're intrigued by whatever that person had to say and you want to learn more, have lunch with whoever it is. So you'll have that opportunity. So it's not just somebody here to give you a presentation, but somebody here to help you continue your learning. As Kevin reminded us, Dr. Deming used to say there's no substitute for knowledge. So we're not going to try to substitute that, we're going to offer more and more. What I'd like to do next is catch up. There's some catching up to do. No, we're gonna get Doug up here after we're done with the frivolity. We're gonna get somebody who's serious about how we're doing business. So what I want to look at is yesterday, as we were ending the pre-conference and transitioning in to the evening keynote to start the formal conference. So from pre-conference to starting, ending one thing and beginning another. Doug, there he is. Doug handed us medals, and so for those of you who were not here yesterday, I'd like you to stand up. Roxy is going to present you with a medal, and Doug is going to offer some of the significance associated with the medal. So you'll see several people, almost all, with the medals. The rest of you, please stand up if you weren't here yesterday to receive your medal, and Doug will explain why you're getting this.
All right, don't be shy. Good. All right. So congratulations, first of all, on receiving your medal. You see that there are others that have also received them. The purpose of the medal, of course, is to establish that you were just an awesome person, right? But probably more important than that is we talked about a couple different things about receiving the medals. One was that it's for showing up. Actually, I need to stop. I just need, when I handed these things out yesterday, I had the opportunity to receive lots of feedback. It was great. I had a very few, who said thank you. I had several others that said, what's this for? I had a lot that said, oh, does this make me a winner now? Or in some cases it was, what is this, participation? And the answer was, of course. But let's take a look at that on the face of it, right? If you're showing up, then you're showing up. 80% of success, right? And we say it's a cliche, but as we know, cliches have the ring of truth in them. If we're saying it's for being a winner, but we don't want to necessarily make that all that big of a deal, we kind of throw a little bit of sarcastic tone to it. But the fact is that we all won the life lottery. We talked about that last night, right? The idea that there is, that we're part of the 10%, 90% of all creatures die childless. We're not in that realm, we're in the 10%. And then we already won the 300 million to 1 lottery, right? So you put those together and somebody will figure out what that infinitesimal chance is that we're actually here today with each other. And so the medal, I was thinking about this morning, the medals kind of get this idea that it's about separating us from others. Well, that's what's different about the medal that you have. It doesn't say superstar on it. It doesn't say world's greatest person or grandpa or grandma or whatever on here, right? It says thinking human. Everybody can be a thinking human. So this isn't about separating us from each other. It's not about separating us, as a matter of fact, from everybody that's walking the planet, right? It's about establishing that we are, in fact, thinking humans, that we celebrate the fact that we are part of the human being race. And so congratulations on being a part of the human being race.
We lost your microphone.
It is my pleasure to introduce Dean Kramer. We are here as a new partner with Woodbury University, and Dean Doug Kramer is the Dean of the College of Interdisciplinary.
Transdisciplinary.
You'll get it.
Don't worry about it.
Transdisciplinary, and it's an amazing topic that I was blessed to know about a little before this meeting started. So please come and tell us all about your department. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Woodbury University. We're so glad to have you all here. I think this is the beginning of an amazing partnership. The College of Transdisciplinarity that I'm lucky enough to head for the last, we recently renamed it college. We've been through a variety of different political things, but it's been almost a decade now. So we got to this game a little bit behind you all, since you're in your 14th year and we're only in our 10th. But the notion of transdisciplinarity is very much in common with what you've all been about in this In2In thinking conference and workshops and everything. It's, how shall we say, the version of the Demi breaking the mold for us is simply overcoming our limitations, overcoming our divisions, overcoming all those artificial separations that keep us boxed into various kinds of disciplinary silos and limits, and it's about thinking beyond those particular things. I like these medals we just got, because I was thinking about what does it mean not only to be a thinking human, but to think human. That is to think as a humanitarian, as a humanist, as somebody who deals with a kind of humane attitude towards the world. And that's much what we try to do too. A lot of our inspiration for this notion of transdisciplinarity actually came out of some UNESCO documents from over 20 years ago, where they try to explain it like this, and it's the best metaphor I've come across. You've all been to a potluck, right? And you all know what it's like to go to a potluck, where you sort of make your favorite dish, and you get it all done up really nicely and everything, and you bring it and you kind of show it off, and everybody shares their favorite best made dishes, which is great. It's sort of like bringing the best of your disciplines, your specialties, your knowledge, and giving them away to other people, right? That's kind of like what we often talk about as interdisciplinarity. Everybody kind of brings their strength, they bring it to the room, and they show it off and share it. What transdisciplinary is that the UNESCO people talked about was more like bring your favorite ingredients. Don't worry about making anything yet. Just bring what it is you know well, bring what it is you really, really like, and everybody go into the kitchen. And then figure out what the hell it is you want to make. As a group, not as an individual, not as a separate discipline or specialty, but figure out what you've got. What are your gifts? What are your talents? What are your abilities? And without deciding in advance how you're necessarily going to use them or how you're going to employ them or how you're going to mix them up, get into the kitchen and start figuring it out. And so when we talk about sort of rethinking how we think, when we talk about thinking, it really is not separate from doing. Because when we think, we do. We're not all Rodin's thinkers sitting on a block. We doodle, we design, we draw, we plan, we do spreadsheets, we write memos, we talk, we have conversations. Thinking is doing is thinking, and the more we realize that the two go hand in hand and really are not these separate things like, okay, I'm thinking, okay, now I'm going to go do something. As human beings, that's not how we operate. And so the more humanely, the more humanistically we can figure out these things in both, as you all put it, in terms of breaking the mold, as we put it, in terms of thinking transdisciplinarily, I think we're very much about the same things here. And I think the partnership and the sharing between your approach and our ideas can lead to a very fruitful partnership as we go on. And that, and one final note, I want to bring Bill up here. We have a small token of our appreciation. So we have a little plaque here. It says, Woodbury University and the Center for Leadership honors William J. Bellows and the In2In Thinking Network on the occasion of the 14th Annual Leadership Forum, June 13th, 2015. We hope this is a great sign of our ongoing partnership and our future together. Thank you, Bill. Thank you all, and again, welcome to Woodbury.
On your, if you got to the registration desk, and I presume you managed that, one of the things I want to remind you of is that if you haven't, if you've been here the last couple of days and haven't managed to remember to sign in again, we'd like you to sign in again. Part of that has to do with the emergency situation. Wherever room you're in, if there's an emergency, we're going to gather out on the lawn area out there. The reason we want you to check in is when we look at the list, if we got 15 people out there and there are 30 on the list, we got to go find 15 people. So we'd like you to be able to gather out there, but to know who's here, please check in. On your schedule, you can see the specific events. The way the forum is organized, there'll be a keynote, then there'll be 4 parallel track sessions. The good news is you have an opportunity, some variety to choose from. The bad news is you only can choose one at a time. So you may think you're missing something, but it's available on video, so you can see the ones not live, but you can see the ones you missed. Then at lunchtime, we'll have lunch, we'll have a keynote after lunch, and then 4 parallel tracks. Then there'll be a gathering together where we'll do some networking stuff in the late afternoon, and then in the evening we'll have dinner, and after dinner there will be some interesting entertainment, a collaborative event, and that's how it's going to progress. On Sunday in the morning we'll have a keynote, and we'll be ending around noon. There'll be a wrap-up toward the end of that we traditionally handle, and I think that's all I got for the, there's signs around to help you figure out where the restrooms are when you bump into that. They're a little low to the ground, so if you're the size of my wife, she sees them easily. I have a little more trouble finding them, but she's not small, she's concentrated. So thank you all for coming to help get us in the mood for aspiring, inspiring, and achieving, we found serendipitously found some things that might get you in the mood. Roxy's going to introduce them.
I will start.
Yes.
Hi, I'm pressing every button. It's not me.
Windows works.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, you can be the statues. It seems to be frozen.
So maybe we should go to,
It's a statue.
Hey Tim, is lunch here where the dinner was last night?
Woody's. Yeah, lunch will be at Woody's, which is out and up that way. It's the cafeteria area, and it's not, what, 80 yards? It's not very far. It's a nice compact campus.
At the end of the green space.
At the end of the green space. So here's a piece of art you might recognize its intent. I'm not sure about singing, at least my voice isn't very good at it.
It's French. That is not me. I've seen that, that's great. Love that.
I have the pleasure of introducing our first keynote speaker. Pauline bumped into us, I think, is how I might put it, and got intrigued with some of this. Got so intrigued, she decided she could probably contribute, and valuably, over the last several years, and we asked her to contribute officially and formally, since we're always asking for people to share their knowledge. And Pauline has a lot to share, and when Dr. Deming said there's no substitute for knowledge, we're about to hear from a person who has knowledge. Pauline.
It's a pleasure to be here. This is my third presentation time with Bill, and I think we ought to, where is he? Where did he go? There he is. Okay, so just stay there. In the name of breaking the mold, let's begin by thanking Bill. When he asked me to talk about inspire, aspire, I thought, expire, execute or achieve, I thought, okay, this was the image that came to me. Not quite what you'd expect. This is the image I think most of us live in every day. The waters from the unconscious can take us over as individuals. The external environment can take us over, or at least it feels like that. And we have nothing left to give. And what we don't know is, where is the shore? So that's kind of the critical question for this morning. Where is the shore? How much knowledge do you need? I mean, after all, you got a compass, you think you could find the shore. Wrong. I'm going to suggest that our humanness is in our compass, and our compass is weak. Our internal compass is weak, and that's why so often the waves of the unconscious or the waves of the external world seem so overwhelming. I do a lot of coaching, a lot of training, a lot of teaching. The most common message I get is this image. I can't cope. I can't bear it. I don't know what to do. I want to run away. It led me to consider why, when we have so much abundance generally, that's not everybody, but generally, do we feel so poor internally? And I have 3 recipes, if you will, 3 suggestions to help manage this. Now, in the name of breaking the mold, I want to convert this auditorium to a room that's a little more people-friendly. And I bet I have engineers in the room who will understand how to do this better than I. My suggestion is you look around and find somebody you don't know. I noticed as people came in, you came in as part of a tribe. And that's great, but for a little bit, I want to split up the tribe. I want to ensure the knowledge in the room gets disseminated to new people. So, look around, find somebody you don't know, sit with them, and I am setting up an exercise, and then sit in the new place. So, 1 minute. I just want to continue where I started along this turbulency metaphor and to say Ernest Hemingway is really behind this image. Many years ago, when I first read The Old Man and the Sea, one sentence stood out. I've gone too far out. And I think that's the condition of many executives today. The chronic feeling of, I don't have a shore, I've gone too far out, and there's nothing to cling to. That's the real meaning of I've gone too There's nothing I've learned. Support, sustains, nurtures. So, when the external environment is crashing in on us mercilessly, where do we look? We look to our teams, our groups, and communities. And this community has become quite important to me. Through the years, at first I thought, what is this fellow's man ranting about? He never stopped. He went on and on. I thought, is this guy on steroids or what? And then I began to see the wonder of the community who's breathing. Bertrand Russell said, the central problem of our age is how to act decisively in the absence of certainty. Ain't no certainty in these seas. And ambiguity is a way of life. The more we can tolerate it, the more we learn about our own vulnerability. Key word, uncertainty, vulnerability. And the greater our learning can be about taking measured risks. The Chinese know this well. I've been blessed with having a 25-year relationship with the government of Singapore. I work in the Prime Minister's office. People always want to know, is it a dictatorship? Has been, maybe a benevolent one. The citizens of Singapore are not afraid of their streets. I walk when I go through jet lag at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's fine. The streets are immaculate. Everybody has the right to an education through a doctorate. If you can get into Harvard, they'll pay for it. And it's benevolent to a tune we don't understand. Universal health care is guaranteed. The trade-off they've made comfortably is, I don't badmouth the government. That's all. It's not that I don't think badmouth, but there are places I don't say. That's all, and that's all there is. Not bad. Now the Chinese understand this. Their character, Chinese character for crisis or conflict means danger and opportunity. We have an opportunity here to manage our danger, really, because what we all have done in an effort to cope with our time and our lives is sacrifice some of our capacity to connect. And so this morning, I'm going to help us all remember some tools that bring back connection. Uncertainty is the very condition to impel us to unfold our powers. And Eric Fromm said that. Now, our conversation, from the stormy sea to finding shore, will look at the human condition through the eyes of the brain. There'll be several anchors in the storm I will present, and then we'll work to remember what's right. And we'll look at lessons from an inspired life. And then 5 fingers of inspiration, aspiration, and execution. Another way to find the shore. Okay? So, here's our brain. You'll notice it's got a few, perhaps, unwanted visitors. I call these ants. Automatic, negative thinking. In other words, the memory of the race is with us. And in that racial memory are all the negative roots for what we think every day. I can't, I won't, no, you jerk. Are you kidding me? One more time. All those disempowering negatives. There's not enough, and I'm not enough. You're not enough, the world isn't enough. I want to go eat worms. All that is part of our racial heritage. I am not talking as an antidote to that mindless positive thinking, because mindless positive thinking works in the moment in which you do it, but it doesn't kill off the ants. There are some things that can help us manage the ants, but the ants are with us. So, this collective memory needs to be explored, exploited, and exploded. I'm going to show you the first tool storm is the breath. We always have the breath, and we frankly forget we breathe. We are not only thinking humans, we are breathing humans, and we have a body. What we forget most is we are an embodiment of something. So, I'm going to show you a breath that can help you ride the waves. And it's a different breath, and as with all breathing exercises, it helps if your feet are flat on the floor, your weight is in the chair, maybe you can feel your sit bones if these seats allow it. And this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Inspiration is related to inspiring oxygen that activates all of our bodies. So we'll do a relatively short inhalation to the count of 3. And then we'll hold to the count of 5 and exhale to the count of 7. And we'll do this for 2 minutes. So do a body scan and a mind scan. Notice where the tension pockets are. Notice what doesn't feel so good. And you can't do this wrong, okay? For some people, exhaling to 7 may feel like a race, a marathon. Just calm it down and get back on board with an inhale when you can. And this is a metaphor for knowing how to ride the wave. So, inhale, 2, 3, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Continue for 2 minutes at your own pace. It helps to close your eyes, I think, but do what's comfortable. Slowly come back into this room and notice what has shifted. What it is. Can anybody describe what made me different? No? No? Yes?
My shoulders relaxed on the exhale. I found that interesting, especially in the longer term exhale at the 6 and 7.
Great, thank you. Yes, somebody else had their hand up, sorry.
On the first try, it felt like waiting for something, and then it became easier each time.
Easier and easier, yes. Thank you. Sir?
I realized that my heartbeat was a great way to keep time.
Aha! Connecting to the heart is what you said. Thank you.
That I was very conscious of a change in just feeling conscious as the change in oxygen, I guess.
maybe it's more than that, but okay, that's a good start. The change in oxygen will change the brain. But there's something else that's going on. The exaggerated or lengthy exhale is a metaphor for emptying ourselves of prejudgments, conditioned thinking, and rigidity. That's really what gives way, and then we can find the heart. The breath is always with us, and we forget. It's our first anchor. Yes?
I should have asked this before we started. Does it matter if you exhale through the mouth versus through the nose?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but I'm not a Buddhist monk, and a Buddhist monk might give you a different answer. I think it works either way. When I want to manage myself, this is what I go to. Exaggerating the exhale gets rid of fear, tension, and all the yuck. Okay. And now I'm going to show you, maybe I ought to wait, do that one later. Yeah, let me wait and do that one later. Marco, would you pass, now you have a partner. We're going to do a two-part exercise, incredibly simple. Marco's giving you a handout that is an interview template. You don't have to invent any questions. What you do have to do is resurrect your best listening. You've actually been sitting for close to an hour. That's long enough. You and your partner will choose who goes first. Who goes first is the interviewer. And the other party will be the interviewee. I'm imagining most of you have little things like stopwatches, because this is intended to be time. There are two critical things you're doing. Listening to your partner and listening to how you listen. We will debrief how you listen. It's important to take light notes. Light. This is not about writing. Light notes because you will use some of the data in the second part of the exercise. The real direction is listen your partner into being. Give your partner as much attention as you're capable of. Encourage every image, every word, every feeling they give you. Any questions? You'll notice the questions are a little bit different. Okay, so first round is for 6 minutes, and I'll keep a master clock. You'll hear my phone go off. Begin. I'm sorry? Marco? Everybody has a sheet? No, one direction. Yeah, I'll let you know when to stop.
But is this the only one with an actual presenter? Right now. Also recording it. The one we have is also recording their own podcast. If anything happens, I send something about it. So have windows. You want to have this one, and of course the one back here is to stay with us. I'll have this one open. I'll check in on the live streams on my phone at the time to see how it's going.
notice about your listening? Just what went on in your own gray matter? What did you notice?
Felt good.
Felt good.
It felt good to have someone listen to me.
Okay, it felt good to have someone listen to me. Absolutely. But while you were listening, what went on in your gray matter? Yes.
I'm not alone, others have problems like this too.
The identification with whatever the other's talking about. I'm not alone. Thank you. Yes.
I noticed that this person was opening up, becoming vulnerable to me, and that earned my trust and sort of dialed up that I better make sure I tune into this.
So good. So the other person's vulnerability actually enhanced your listening. Thank you. Yes.
I noticed that my listening, including probes or small questions, can sort of shape what the other person is sharing or extract something in particular or give focus.
Give focus, give control. Both are true. But through what we question, we do help shape the other. We're letting the other know what's important to us. That can be positive and it can be negative. Yes.
Listening is a lot harder than talking.
Amen. You want to stand up and say that? Did everybody discover that? It takes a lot more energy to listen than to talk. Thank you. Yes.
It was sort of an interesting tension as my partner was sharing. There was kind of a cliffhanger and just sharing about something very stressful, and I'm like leaning in and just felt anxious, a little bit anxious, but in a good sort of a way.
Anxious for them, with them. Yes. That's called intimacy. So, did you notice? Did you notice how much alike we are? Or did you notice how different your partner is? Alike. At some level, we are fundamentally not only one, but very much alike one. Now, there's another part to our listening I haven't heard anything about. So this is listening driven by the ants. Does anybody have a story about of a moment when your listening wasn't so great? When you noticed something else going on here? Yes.
I guess it's typical for an engineer to want to fix the problem.
Oh. Yeah, and you don't need to be an engineer to fall into that trap. I'm listening for a solution so I can tell you how much I know. Thank you. Anybody else notice that one? Fix it? Yes, Doug.
Mine was more the tension between wanting to really listen and having to take notes. Because then I had to break eye contact. I had to work on thinking about how am I going to summarize what he's saying, when I'd rather just have been listening. And so in some ways, and I could have just chosen screw the task. I'm not going to make notes. Right? Even though that's what you asked. But I didn't. I decided to comply and do the note. But I felt that there was a real tension between really listening and the conflict with having to get a task done at the same time.
Got it. Yes, I think that's true. Okay, it's set up that way.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the mic. I'm sorry. Yes.
I found in the beginning that there was a lot of distractions with the other conversations that I had to start really focusing in on it. And in the beginning, I noticed also that I was not very interested. But as I heard more information upon his story and experience, I got drawn more into it, and I wanted to hear more than I was actually getting, and the sounds disappeared around me. So,
Yes. We can control how we experience noise from the environment. Yes. Yes.
The only ant I came across was, I went first in the storytelling. And then when we switched roles, there were a couple of points I said, damn, I wish I'd said that. So we just a better way of expressing something that people felt.
Thank you. Yes. How many times do we think that? Wish I had said it that way, so good. In our debrief, the word has kept coming up. That word is story. What did you notice about your partner's thinking? Maybe your own too. Why are stories so important?
I think, I have a rather loud voice, I don't need the microphone.
Okay.
But the one thing I noticed that there was a parallel track, a great deal of similarity in our thinking process, and I'll bet everybody else in the room found the same thing. Whatever the problem was, there's the moment of, I won't say panic, but feeling overwhelmed. Then kind of a, I won't say shutting down, but trying to get rid of the exterior influences, focusing on getting yourself centered, and then taking that and deciding how you're going, what method you're going to use to deal with it. And that seems to be probably universal.
Okay. Thank you, and you've just given us your story.
Oh.
How you constructed the world. And it's a fine construction. I'm using it to demonstrate a principle. We think in stories. No story, no world. We think in stories. And then sometimes we can have a meta story, as you just gave us, which is really a window into how we've constructed the world. Thank you. Anybody else? This is over here, okay?
I interview a lot of people for media production stuff, and usually I start with one question. Very simple question, and the stories just automatically will come out from that. And the interview can go on for half an hour.
Wonderful.
You know, so it's just something as simple as, tell me your story, or tell me about your movie, or something like that. So I just started with the one question, and you just went from there and let it organically happen. Yeah.
Thank you. We think in stories. So one story leads us to another story, leads us to another story. Ooh. Yes.
I found it fascinating how open and willing my partner was willing to be in terms of being sharing a very vulnerable experience from his past. I felt quite, honored and blessed to hear it, because I don't know this man well. I've seen him at a few conferences, but it was quite a treasure. So
He is a treasure.
I want to say thank you.
One of the more vulnerable, willing to be vulnerable men I've met.
Well, I want to thank my partner as well. And the last question, what might you do as future aspiration? She had the most genuine answer I've ever heard. She has an accountability partner. And they meet once a week to talk about how they're progressing.
Gorgeous. Thank you both. I would venture to say you could have reached a level of intimacy with your partner that exceeds the level of intimacy with people you've worked with for 5 or even 10 years. Funny, huh? The magic is not in the question, by the way. These are really simple questions. There was one. Yes.
My own thought on this is maybe, it's just a theory, I don't know. But, if you haven't ridden a bicycle for a long time, you can always get on that bike and ride it, because the skill to ride the bicycle was imprinted in the brain in childhood. And so is storytelling. I mean, what does every 4-year-old do? Daddy, mommy, and they can't compartmentalize and give little bits of answers as though they were text messages or tweets. They have to tell you the whole, on and on and on and on. And that's repeated, and kids, storytelling is imprinted in childhood. That's just my theory on it.
I think it's true. I think it's true, and some stories are positive and nourishing and life-giving. Then there are those other stories that aren't so cool. The brain can choose. If you find yourself trapped in a negative story, stop and breathe. And now we're going to do part 2 of this exercise. I'm hoping we can complete it in 6 minutes, but if not, we'll give it what it takes. In teams of 6 is my ideal. So I'm looking at these 6 people. I don't know how they can construct themselves as 6. 4 looks easy. 6 looks harder, but you figure it out. Ideally, it's 6. If you can't do 6, do 4. You can sit on the floor if that works, but I'm still trying to reconfigure this room in some way. We've done instructions for part 2. Introduce your partner through one and only one story they told. I will repeat the instructions. Introduce your partner to the other 5 people through one and only one story. Okay? Begin.
I'll stand up.
One story to introduce your partner.
He's working from Israel. He came here very budgeted with his family and didn't really have a clear plan, and somehow he had a heart attack. And over here one story that had a really great slowly get out and now he's I used to run it out of the office. It is like
He's from India. I believe he was in very good physical health, and he suffered a stroke. And it changed his life because it had effects on what he was able to do. And he put a lot of energy into finding out what really had more value to him and focusing on that. And now it's hard to transfer as much knowledge to other people and experiences to better himself and people that he's
If I had never dropped out, I would have never. That could be an The lesson for me was focus on everything. Do everything. What
is my name. So all those kids there. The nice thing which you asked was the part of the
Oh, yes.
Having opened up. He's a
Right.
good friend of mine. I've known him for about 30 years. So it's a bit difficult to break the barrier or lower the guard. Invisible wall would have been right. If you have with your partner, chances are I cannot
It's the bartender. It's the bartender factor. It's easy to open up. Early as possible. We just missed like 3 minutes of conversation.
Possibility. We don't
Those conversations. Yeah. Knowing people. No actual.
And the next time the story is told, it's with you. Yes.
I was embarrassed because you spoke better than I did.
And you remained interested in your own story then. Okay? One or two more. Anybody? Yes.
Well, I noticed as I'm the person who's telling this story, that while I was telling the story, I'm actively filtering. So I was choosing things based on my own opinions, and maybe their story is not how they want it to be told, was what I was thinking afterwards.
I understand. Thank you. I'm sure what you described we all did at some point. Now, your partner, let's check with him. Did she tell your story well?
Parts of it, she was just dead on, yes. She left out all the meaty stuff, I think.
So she's an angel for you.
She was.
Yes.
As my partner was telling the story to others, I appreciated the kindness in the telling, so that, you know, the vulnerabilities didn't think there was something that was weird about it.
So good. In the kindness of someone else's telling our story, we grow in kindness for the same story. Yes.
I think that's a building of trust. The intimacy shared, okay, is person to person, and the intimacy, this telling of the story to others has a separation in that you don't want to tell all.
Okay.
That you want to introduce the other person so they can tell.
Okay. Thank you.
Introduction to an intimacy that grows.
Right. I just want to test, did anybody have a hard time listening to their story told by someone else? It's rare, but it happens.
I did.
Ooh.
Me.
You.
It was a little uncomfortable because I haven't really shared that story outside of family and very close people at work.
So you were just uncomfortable with the content of your story?
Right up until the point where we heard other stories that were very similar.
So good. Thank you. Thank you. Our deepest, darkest secrets, when given away, we find, oh, you two are not so different. Thank you for sharing that. And that discovery is a big one. What we've just done is a very encapsulated appreciative inquiry process, which is really a tool for social construction. The stories we tell are the stories we live. So let's tell the big stories. Now, I have a couple of things I want to be sure to do, and I'm running out of time. I said I do. By the way, did you breathe? Anybody consciously breathing? No. How regularly we forget. Breathing makes everything better. Now, I want to show, okay, listening, let me go back. I want this one.
Hang on, right? Because we won't be lying.
Yeah. I keep punching the computer screen. Oh, thank you. I wanted to be sure I left this part with Heninger's quote. When we are listened to, it creates us. makes us unfold and expand. Part of the answer to dealing with turbulent waters is always listen. Listen deeply to yourself and to listen to others. And now I'm going to go back and do another exercise. Honey, you keep changing the rules, you know. No, I want to go back further. Yes. That's it. No. Next one. I'm going to introduce a tool that you can practice anywhere, anytime, and nobody needs to know. It's much like the breath, but it's different. This is only you know you'll be doing this. I'm going to show you my arm. This is my arm relatively relaxed. And now, I don't know if you can really tell, but now I have a little bit of tension. Now I have more tension. And now my arm is fully tense. And when my arm is fully tense, it may vibrate. The exercise is called tensing and energizing. You do it on the big muscles of the body. The truth is you could do it on any part of the body, including your feet. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do it with the arms first. So I think it helps if you put your arm out in front of you, so nobody else gets banged. And relax and come into your belly. And the first step is just let your arm be relaxed. And then light tension, just a little. Then moderate, medium tension. And then all the tension you can generate. Hold. And begin to relax from high tension to moderate tension to low tension to no tension. Okay, now we're going to do it with both arms. Kind of hard if you got jackets. I don't like it with jackets. But we start with, they're just out there, and then low tension. Maybe your fingers come in. Moderate tension. Full tension. Oh, let the arms vibrate. And release. Full tension, moderate tension, low tension, no tension. And now we're going to add the legs. No. You can do this seated, but when I say legs, I am tensing all my legs. It's different when you're seated than when you're standing, but you can still tense all your legs. If you need to tense your glutes to tense your legs, that's fine. Okay? And the process is the same. No tension, low tension, moderate tension, full tension. And full tension can hurt and you can feel vibration. From your glutes all the way down to your feet. Relax, relax, relax. It's 3 steps. And now we're going to put it together, both the arms and the legs. And I want you to think, could I do this in a meeting? And the answer is absolutely so. Your arms can be just like they are. It's easier to learn doing it this way. But the truth is, they're your arms. This is energizing. So watch what happens in your body by the time we finish. And we'll only do it once. No tension. Low tension. Legs do. Low tension. Moderate tension. Full tension. Hold. Release. Moderate. Release. Low. Release. No. What do you notice? What do you notice inside you? Yes? I have to remember to keep breathing, yes? I forget. Yes.
Your heart rate goes up because you're essentially doing what you do in your exercise.
Oh, your heart rate goes up because you're doing what you're doing. Yeah, absolutely. So, for people who sit in front of a computer or just sit in meetings all day, there is a way without going outside to achieve some. I would not say this is an alternative for going for a walk, but it can keep your body in the room. And that is the critical problem. We leave our bodies in favor of our minds so often that the body has no support. Thank you. What else? Anybody knows? Yes?
I felt more awake.
I felt more awake. That's the real purpose of this, by the way. If you get comfortable with it, you can progressively feel more awake. Yes?
The outside influences mitigate and you become less aware of them, and the concentration focuses on a single point.
Right. It is a focusing exercise. You're having trouble concentrating on some idea, concentrate on your body for a while, and then you'll be able to focus on it. Yes?
If there's a part of your body, typically for me it's my shoulders, that is holding tension, when you run through this whole body one, and then you release, you recognize, oh, that part of my body was holding tension.
Indeed. It can serve as a true muscle relaxant in places you didn't even intend. Yes?
Would this work when you're flying in an airplane for long term?
Oh, absolutely.
Getting up, walking around?
Get up, walk around, do it in your seat. Besides that, it's kind of fun. I noticed I kind of like the vibration that can happen and I'm not really doing anything. Yes?
I suppose it's a bad sign to realize that the relaxation part of that cycle is the abnormal one, and return back to your comfort zone, which is the tense one.
Oh, interesting. Now, I haven't heard that before. But I can see it. The tension one, for some people, is the normal one. Yes. You know, people who run around like the Mad Hatter or the Queen of Hearts, their life is like this, off with their heads. Okay, we all dip into it, but I hope nobody lives there. Any questions about this? Can you see yourself doing it? Anywhere. Okay, now I want you to do it just once, legs and arms, without me saying anything. I'm going to go on to the next slide. Just do it. Okay. Where's my helper? Now bring him in. Oh, Steve. We're going to watch it. Okay, thank you. Make it play. I don't want to know. Okay, so what are the models we have for someone who lived an exemplary life? Now, look at your hand. I'm grade 4. Two sides. I am not being naive in saying this man's a saint. He's not a saint. He's had a body. But he used his time on earth to make the world a better place before he left it. And that's the part of him I'm focusing on. We're going to listen 4 minutes to a speech he gave. Because in that speech is the wisdom of his life. Okay?
I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. when I was 20. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking, don't settle. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will truly become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I've always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.
Stay hungry, stay foolish. Here are some key principles, and I'm going quickly now. I'm out of time, and there are two things I want to do. To inspire, Steve seems to think love is all that's important, and the passion with which you can take to whatever you do. Without passion, he would say life is not worth living. If you haven't found it, stop doing what you're doing. Experiment. Go look in the world for what will evoke your passion. Learn new things all the time. He learned calligraphy, nutrition, cooking, and all this somehow helped him connect the dots for the products he produced. And keep it simple. Keep everything simple. You have to be much better at what you do to communicate simply than with grand orders of complexity. Maybe the purpose of everything should be to enrich lives, whatever we do. And we've got to see a connection between what we do and how we're enriching lives. There's got to be a dream in every service. Remembering the dream is important. It's important to the customer or the end user. If we lose touch with the end user, why are we doing it? And finally, can you communicate what you want to communicate in 3 concise points? It takes great mastery to say what you have to say in 3 points. Now, I am going to was going to ask you to talk about this. We don't have time. Which of his principles resonates most with you? Which one do you need to learn? Which one, what are you saying?
Number 7.
7? Concise talk. I agree, yes. How do you practice it? That's a hard one to learn. Say what you have to say. Very rich, chunked up ways. Okay, we're not going to do that. I'm going to try and summarize and bring all these pieces together. I call this 5 fingers of inspired execution. Steve said 3. I'm comfortable with 5 because that's how many fingers I have. If I can get it on my fingers, I can get it. 5 fingers. 1. As you look at the waves in your life, what is the real concern you carry? And sometimes that's very hard to define. It all gets jumbled. Clarity on what is the concern and what do I care about beneath the concern. The concern is most often expressed in terms of my head. The caring in terms of my heart. And that's where my passion will be. Who do I need to communicate with about this? Who are the other significant people in this issue, concern, and value? I went to that. My issues, concerns all lead me to my core values, or what it is that makes life worth living. What do I need to talk to about this? And finally, what cauldrons of cognition do I use to stop myself from communicating fully? From hiding from the people in my life what I really want to say? And what are the ants that block, stop, prevent my communication? These will be on the PowerPoint that Bill will post. I have taken some of your break time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, that was great as usual.
That was lovely. Thank you.
So for those of you who want to talk more with Pauline, she'll be at the conference. She will be here. She will be available. She's willing to talk. You can chat with her at lunch. You can chat with her any other time you can bump into her. I was listening to what Jobs had to say and what Pauline was pointing to, and the number 7 that Annette brought up, and what I think I heard is follow your bliss, which is Joseph Campbell's idea. At least that's where I heard it first. So find your bliss and follow it. We've got some housekeeping sort of things going on because the rooms have changed. So you've got a list of what's going on, but Roxy's got some new information.
Sure. So Kevin is going to be in Amundsen. Do you know where that is? That way? There are signs out there. Steve and Dave are going to be in classroom 210 upstairs. Eric is going to be here. And Bill will be at Woody's. He's pointing to Woody's. So that's the cafeteria. So you'll see the umbrellas and you'll go that way. Anything else we need to share? Your evening program?
Yeah, we'll try to remind you of the afternoon sessions, but they've moved too, so.
Just use her mic.
Yep, we'll remind you of the afternoon sessions. Paula's got an afternoon session, Mike Beck's got one, Stuart's got one, and Bill's gonna continue his or do another one, I forget which. And we'll remind you after lunch. There's a break. We'd like to start at 10:15, so grab your snacks or whatever you want and start heading toward the one of the 4 options you've chosen. So upstairs here in this room, Amundsen's down that way, and Woody's is up that way.
That's your